You said that these new climate change policies are raising our cost of living, but how do you plan to deal with this pressing issue of climate change without doing that?
Well, first of all, the climate's always changing. There's never been a time the climate didn't change. Never. And the question fundamentally is, how much is man contributing to these specific changes? And from a policymaker, what can we do about it? So here's the problem we have. The problem we have is they want us to pass X number, make these changes, and they present them to us. So I asked the scientists, if we pass all these things you want, how much will it change the climate back in the direction you want it to go? And their answer is, oh, you won't notice it for 100 years, and only if every other country does it too. And in fact, even the numbers they agreed to in Paris, a lot of scientists are saying that's not even enough. And then I turn to the economists and say, what will this do to our economy? And they say it'll make us a more expensive place to create jobs. In a country where already people are, a historic number of people are unemployed, it will make the cost of living more expensive at a time when already millions of Americans are struggling paycheck to paycheck. So they want me to support policies that hurt our economy but don't really do anything for our environment. They just set an example. I think that's a bad trade-off. So what is a better approach? And by the way, this deal in Paris is a disaster too. Number one, the Chinese have signed this agreement that they're going to cut carbon emissions, and we all know how the Chinese always keep every agreement they ever signed to, right? Like they signed an agreement not to cyber attack the United States when they visited Washington, and the next day they were conducting cyber attacks. But the second point that I would make is, the Chinese have said, and by the way, we agree to all these benchmarks. We are the leading carbon emitters in the world, the Chinese are. We agree to all these benchmarks that have been set, but we're only going to do them if it doesn't hurt our economy. Well, it's going to hurt your economy, so that means they're not going to do it. The third thing that's really outrageous is the president committed us to a fund where you, the American taxpayer, is going to contribute money to a global fund to help developing countries. And who are the developing countries? China's a developing country. India's a developing country. So we're basically going to take money away from you to help them lower their carbon emissions. I'm not supporting that. And the fourth point I would make is, how do we deal with it? I think innovators are already helping us deal with it. America's already cleaner than it was. America is already becoming, it's trending even cleaner than we've ever been, but not because of government mandates. Why has America become cleaner? Because the American innovator figured out how to drill sideways. So now we can use more natural gas than ever, a lower carbon fuel, for example, than coal. Why is America more innovative? Because we become more energy efficient. Today, cars get more miles per gallon than they've ever gotten before. Why is America moving in a cleaner direction? Because battery life and electrical powered cars are becoming longer and increasingly more affordable. Why has America become cleaner? Because American technology and innovation is making wind power and solar panel power and renewables more cost effective and more market competitive. The American innovator, given the space and the time, will continue to do this for us. We are moving in this direction anyway, and we are moving in this direction for purposes of energy independence. We're moving in this direction for purposes of having the most diverse portfolio possible. But these government measures that they're trying to ram down our throat are going to dramatically hurt our economy. I, in good conscience, cannot support policies that take a country that is already struggling to provide jobs and upward mobility for millions of people and make it worse, while the countries that are leading the world in pollution are doing nothing except polluting more and emitting even more carbon. So I want us to deal with these issues on the basis of innovation. And by the way, by relying on sources of fuel that are cleaner, like natural gas, which America has an abundant supply of, like nuclear energy, which we know how to do better than anyone in the world, and it is a zero carbon emission fuel. And these are things that, let's do the other things too, wind, solar, biofuels, let's do them all. Let's lead the world in all of them. But don't let the government artificially pick one over another, because you're manipulating the market and you're driving up costs for people that are already struggling with a high cost of living.